we'll be using Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Oh, fucker, it's kicked me out of the goddamn. So, put me back in. Sorry, it kicked me out again.
Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going. The podcast, it's still going to be going and recording and stuff. It's just that it kicked me out temporarily, I guess. So, again, with me is Oly J and Ian. Say hello, boys.
Hey.
And as I mentioned, due to a lack of Silent Hill games on the PS4, we'll be having Castlevania in. So, guys, 20th anniversary of Silent Hill.
Yeah, it happened yesterday.
I know it was yesterday.
I saw a tweet by one Jim Sterling who said Silent Hill turned 20 today. Good, under a competent public who we might have a game out or something.
Honestly, I am surprised we haven't had some kind of re-release of some kind. I mean, you'd think, I would say it wouldn't be hard to port something, but then we literally just had that whole situation. We had that whole situation with, well, Silent Hill HD.
Yeah, how to fuck that up?
They found a way. I think that's the important thing here, Ollie. They found a way to fuck it up. Which is a shame, really, because I, for one, absolutely love the original Silent Hill game. And I thought that should be a good segue into topic. So, Ian, you're the only other person I know of who has played Silent Hill and has a love for it that rivals my own, effectively. So, I have to ask, how did you first come to experience the absolute terror and fun that is Silent Hill's fucked up world?
Well, I discovered it the year it was released.
Lucky you.
Yeah. It was, I remember, I remember reading about it in a magazine, and, because I was a big Resident Evil fan at the time.
Yeah, I think that tends to be how most people get into it.
Yeah. And, according to the magazine, it's a lot scarier than Resident Evil. And I was like, I'll be the judge of that.
Everything goes with the Ian seal of approval.
Yeah. And someone I knew at the time, I went around his house and he had Silent Hill, well, like an imported copy, like the American version.
Of course.
Yeah, but
talking about the children,
we'll get.
Sorry, I cut you off.
The Grey Children. Yeah, but we'll get to that in a bit. And I went around his house and went to play it, and oh my god, I was immediately scared. Believe it or not, and I was like, oh my god, this is terrifying.
Yeah, it did have that way about it, didn't it?
Yeah.
I never played an actual Silent Hill game.
I think we should reiterate that Ollie
Ollie
never really grew up with the games or anything, so
I didn't have access to them as a kid because nobody bought them for me. But
that is understandable.
I played the shit out of the demo I had like that one time that ended when you got to the police station and something jumped through the window at you.
Police station.
And I remember there being far too long gaps between sentences in the dialogue. You know, when you first meet Sybil Bennett.
That's it. That's actually in a diner.
Oh. I don't know why I thought that was a police station. I thought
is it because of Resident Evil 2?
It may have been because of Resident Evil 2.
Okay. My experience was back when I first got a PlayStation. I think I've already explained on several occasions that My family were pretty poor, so we only really had we didn't really have a PlayStation so much as we had a Master System, and then eventually we got robbed because my sister went home after we went on holiday, got drunk and let a load of people in, and we got robbed. And the insurance company could not replace the Master System. So, lo and behold, they replaced it with a Mega Drive. Now, PlayStation. Now, I wasn't complaining, but all I had was the Disney's Hercules and Tekken 2. That's literally all I had.
Well, those are good games.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They are absolutely good games. But But then we had friends come over who would like they used to say they chipped their bring their chipped PlayStation over. I know that's a name that's a blast from the goddamn past.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, they'd always bring imported copies of games. Like, they get copies of games, but they'd be imported ones. And the annoying thing was they'd always be in black and white, because you can guess why. They were American, and they were American games, so the television was not optimized. People forget that HDMI kind of undid this. But if it was an American game, it would always be black and white. So one of the games he brought over, he had Resident Evil 2, which scared the shit out of me as a kid anyway. And the other one was the other game he brought was Silent Hill. And I remember he'd leave the games with him, and the one game I wouldn't touch was Silent Hill. Not because I wasn't interested, I actually watched him play it, and even in black and white, it was just... I was used to 2D games. I was just getting used to 3D being a thing. And these things were freaking me the fuck out, even though...
You gotta understand, it was the 90s.
Yeah, and not only that, I was used to Resident Evil and its fixed camera perspective. And Silent Hill...
it was the 90s is a pretty good response to any complaint of anything.
Yeah, I know.
Even if it wasn't.
But the thing that got me at the time was that... It was the fact that it was a fully 3D environment. And I was not prepared for any of that. And it was the dogs jumping out, it was the fog as well, the fact you couldn't see anything. And it'd be silent, sometimes you'd get like streets full of nothing, which was okay in its own right, but then you'd get like suddenly then the radio would go off, and well, Ian knows all about that goddamn radio. I think even Oly knows about what the radio's for. It would just let you know, if you don't know, the radio was literally there just to let you know that there were monsters nearby, but sometimes you couldn't see them. And when the transition happened, the transition from the dark world, the Silent Hillish hellscape world, that was just all...
The other world.
Oh god, yeah, the other world, that's the name. That freaks me. That freaks me all kinds of hell out.
Oh god.
Because again, I wasn't used to games that had story. That was a new concept to me. Because again, I grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog games, so what story was there? Then I'm going to places, I'm experiencing cutscenes, and I'm hearing all this stuff, and I'm hearing voice acting for the first time. And again, as Oly so aptly put it, it was the fucking 90s. So I wasn't used to the bad voice acting and everything. And
One thing that stuck out to me was how long the pauses were between each piece of dialogue.
Yes, there was that.
Sybil asks him in the diner, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Harry."
Is that you?
I'm coming,
Harry
Mother! I'll save you!
Sybil Bennet.
No, Alucard! Stay away!
Yeah.
Weird.
Mother!
Yeah, now that you mention
alright.
it, yeah. So,
If my death can save others,
the thing is, even though I will say the second game is my
No,
personal favourite, the first
I
game
won't let
has
this
a lot of
happen.
good memories for me.
it's too late.
Mainly, it's
Just
the...
stay
I
with
liked
me.
the fact that there was multiple
Hear my
endings.
last words
I
to
kind
you.
of... If you've ever seen
Yes,
Lord
Mother.
Quadros' abridged series, he
Humans.
nailed what I felt
cannot live
Kaufman
with them.
was with his
You
behaviour.
can only hate them. Do them
All the
harm.
characters,
What?
the story
Theirs is
behind it,
such a
there is a
hard
story
lot.
there in Silent Hill. I think that
Release
needs to be
them from their
established. The
pain.
story is there.
Begin with the ones who
It's
killed
just
me.
not said out
No,
loud. You need to actually
It
go
wasn't
looking
like
for it.
this.
Alucard, what's
But
wrong?
one of my favourite
My
memories,
mother
this
never
is a bit
said
off
such a
topic
thing.
in terms of talking
What
about
do
the
you
game
mean?
as a whole, but
I am
I've got a
your
friend
mother.
of mine called Charlotte.
Do
Now,
as I
she
say.
loves Silent Hill
Release
to
them.
a terrifying
Kill them.
degree.
No.
I even for her birthday
You
drew
are
the Halo
not
of
my
the Sun in
mother.
her card for her.
What kind of demon are you?
But we made a promise about when the PlayStation 3
Strong
just
enough
came
to
out.
break my
And,
spell.
they start. When they first started playing PlayStation Classic
You
stuff.
deserve worse than death for
Yeah.
this
Well,
demon.
I actually
Then
said
give
we
it
actually
to me,
took, she
little
went on there and
boy.
she was getting pissed off that not
Don't be
every game
shy.
she wanted was on there. Naturally. So I said to her, well, I'll tell you what, if Silent Hill ever comes to the PlayStation Store, I'll let you know. So, lo and behold, a few years later, it does come out. And then I send her a text saying, oh yeah, Silent Hill 1's now out on the PlayStation Store. And her response is to go quiet and puts the phone down on me.
Your hunger,
And I tried calling her again for another
That strength.
hour or so.
that beauty. You really
Until I
are
got
the
hold of
son
her friend
Lord
Nathan.
Dracula.
Death
And
in
I
the
said,
dream
what's wrong with her?
world
And I
will
can
set
hear her in
your
the
soul
background
wandering for
hyperventilating.
eternity, demon.
Wait!
And I said, what's
beg of
wrong?
you.
And I went, she just rushed downstairs. She just went on the PlayStation and she's just downloaded something. I went, oh, what's she got? And then he just said, I think it's Silent Hill or something. I went, oh God, got it. Can you give her the phone? And she wouldn't grab the phone. She would just go, happy, 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 like a child. And I was like, this is adorable in like so many ways. And I was like, you know what? Leave her be. And he went, are you sure? I went, she's been waiting for this longer than I have. I wasn't as big into Silent Hill as I am now. And then shortly after that, my birthday came up a couple of months after it came out. And she sent me an original copy of the PlayStation 2 version of 2. Saying, you've got to see this. You've got to play this, and to understand me. And I went, okay. So I gave it a go, and my Silent Hill journey went from there. But the first game I experienced when I was very young, and even though I made it a point to myself, I'd never play this game because it terrified the crap out of me. But I think the reason it terrified me was the atmosphere. It did atmosphere so goddamn well. But yeah, that's my Silent Hill 1 journey.
Yeah.
So, Ollie, of course, said he's played the demo. And the shoddy voice acting. But we won't hold that against him, we've all experienced it. We all watched Resident Evil 1. We all played Resident Evil 1. And we all saw the Mega Man X4 thing, Zero's What Am I Fighting For scene. So then I suppose that leads us very nicely on to Silent Hill 2, the best one of the lot, arguably.
The scariest thing about that game, I'm told, is the hack job Konami did of porting it.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Silent Hill 2 still fucks with me on a massive level, because again, Silent Hill 1's entire plot, I think we should probably make a point of that. Oh, Ollie probably heard the whole, it's just a kooky cult doing kooky things and the little girl is somehow connected. Yeah, the little girl that's gone missing is connected to the cult in some way is the fairest answer I can give, the very worst I can give, effectively. But, it is ancient mystical cult, happens to have a little girl, tortures little girl, splits little girl's soul into another people. The little girl splits the soul up and she's two separate people, it's all weird, but the second one doesn't have that. There's no ancient mystical cult, and the symbolism of the monsters is a bit more personal. Because it was always that Silent Hill's monsters all mean something.
Yeah.
And the problem with the first one really was that the monsters really only pertained to the little girl. They really had very little to do with, you know, with Harry himself. It was all to do with the little girl, her fears and her understanding of certain things. Whereas in Silent Hill, a lot of the monsters are sexualized in some capacity. And I don't know if you were around when the whole Pyramid Head rape thing started. For a while, there was a bunch of people getting upset because then, oh, Pyramid Head raped a woman. Well, raped a monster.
Yeah.
And I'd heard for a while, oh, it's only in the Xbox version.
No.
No, I saw it. It's even in the HD remake version and in the PS2 version, I remember. But I should point out, the only reason I own the HD version is just to get the Born from a Wish chapter that's, you know, was only in the PC and Xbox version. And in certain versions of the PS2 version. And, you know, people have been taking the whole Silent Hill 2 thing. You know, I never actually got to play it at all as a kid. I only started playing it after Charlotte gave me, you know, the game to play. Come to find the second one.
Well, do you remember when the Silent Hill collection was released?
On the PS2?
Yeah.
I slightly remember.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, it's a UK exclusive thing, and it has like Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4 in it. And yeah, I mean, the memory of Silent Hill kind of stuck with me. I never completed the game; it kind of stuck with me for ages, and then I learned that there were other games, so I was out of the loop for a while. So I bought the. So while I was in town, I bought well. Back when I was in school, sometimes we used to go on trips to town, you know, and yeah, and so I went into town and I found the Silent Hill collection and bought it along with a Marilyn Manson CD.
Yes, the old I remember the old days of going out to buy a Marilyn Manson CD.
Yeah, and yeah, so but before I played the second game, I thought, well, I think it's probably best if I play the third, you know. And so I bought at the time I didn't have an Amazon account. I persuaded my stepbrother to buy it for me, you know, and pay him back, of course.
Oh,
and, So that's what I did. I managed to complete the first game, loved it, and you know, and so I began playing the second game, and boy, whew, I gotta say, and I enjoyed that one a lot more.
I think it should be made a point that you don't even need to actually play the first game to know what the fuck is even going on with the second game.
I know.
You don't really need
I know.
I mean, you only need to really know the first game if you're playing the third one, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the wonderful thing about Silent Hill 2, it's a standalone.
Well, I think it's also the multiple endings, because I think we should also talk about that as well. The elephant in the room is the endings, because in Silent Hill 1, there was differences, like you could save Sybil if you found the Galapagos. If you went really off track, and my understanding is if you went really, 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 really off track in the game, you could actually run into this one place where you find Kaufman being attacked by a monster, you rescue him, but then you find a bit more of the backstory about the drugs, the drugs that are being sold around the town, and well, you find the Galapagos. I seem to remember that being that was a big thing. And then if you had that, you could rescue Sybil. But apparently that's not the canon ending either, so... boo to us, I guess. Yeah, it's all that. Yeah, apparently Sybil dying is the actual canon ending, which fucking sucks for me. But the UFO ending, we've got to talk about how ridiculous the UFO endings were. The aliens just kidnap Harry, and then in the second game, when they turn up, they bring PS1 era Harry in, and then kidnap James. Oh, and the dog ending. The dog ending.
Where the dog was the one. The dog was controlling the town.
Yeah, everything in Silent Hill was controlled by a dog.
Yeah.
Oh god. But yeah, Silent Hill.
I know.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and then James just walks in and goes, "It was you all along," and then he just collapses to his knees and begins crying, and then the dog just walks up to him and licks his face.
Yeah, and I think it should also be made a point of just how few people are actually in the Silent Hill verse. I mean, in the first game, the only people you run into is Dahlia, who's one of the only people who's, you know, 2 sandwiches short of a cult, 2 Kool-Aid short of a cult.
Yeah.
But dear God, is she completely insane. You've got Kaufman.
Yep.
Kaufman's, well...
a bastard.
Oh god, yeah. I still question how he's able to kill that air screamer thing, even though when he fires a gun at you, it seems to have blanks in or something.
And then, there's Sybil.
Oh yeah, Sybil's kind of an outsider when it comes to Silent Hill, because she's just visiting, but they never specify what she's actually doing in Silent Hill, which I thought was a big problem. Like, you know, she just happens to be there. And Lisa, who you only ever find in the other world, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And then there's Alessa, of course.
Oh yeah, Alessa makes sparing appearances, but to call her a character in that game is, I think, very generous. Because you just see ghostly figures of her, and you don't really know who and what she is until literally right at the end, where, you know, you witness some of her memories, and you see, you know, Dahlia being a terrible parent.
Yeah. And there's Cheryl.
Oh yeah, Cheryl also makes sparing appearances, and she's not really characterised at all, because whenever you see her, she's just running off.
Yeah. And then there's
as well, so, you know, what actually happened, you know, Cheryl's just at the good half of Alessa, or a part of Alessa's power that she just happens to let, you know, help escape so the cult couldn't revive their god, which in itself is already a stupid thing. I'm just trying to imagine the whole thing. Right, we need to revive our god. Okay, sounds legit. How do we do that? Well, we need to get a little girl with psychic powers. They don't emphasise that in the series that much, but it's canon that apparently Alessa has psychic powers. And therefore impregnate her with a demon god, so that she can birth it, but it feeds on her suffering. I mean, it's fucked up to do to a child, but, you know, some of the best horrors tend to be the horrible things they do to innocent children. Depressingly.
Yeah. And that particular part of the story was inspired by Stephen King's Carrie.
A lot of what happens in there seems to be inspired by Stephen King, especially the fact that Harry's a writer. Because Stephen King loves writing things about writers. Just look at Misery, or, you know, well, The Shining.
Yeah. It turns out Harry's a writer.
Well, that's what I mean. Harry's a writer, so naturally, you've got that whole thing. The girl's evil, and you need to defeat her kind of thing. Only for the obvious twist that she's actually the villain.
And apparently she's inspired by 2 Stephen King characters.
That I can also agree with.
Yeah. The most obvious one is Margaret White from Carrie, who's Carrie's mum.
Yeah.
Who treated her daughter the same way. And the other one is Mrs. Carmody from The Mist, who's like a religious nutcase who brainwashes like a bunch of town people into following like an old god who's like bent on murder and killing.
Well, that's pretty much what their god is, really.
Yeah.
Now, dearie, come on. Mommy just wants to use a little bit of your power to show her enemies terror beyond hell.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Mrs. Carmody, Dahlia also owns an antique shop.
Oh yeah, Dahlia's antique store. That's another thing that's very weird about her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she literally burns Alessa alive. You know, because apparently the only way this god can even be born is if, well, Alessa pretty much is suffering constantly. But then she stays suffering for 7 years until the other half comes back. Because reasons. But naturally, as we all know, you either get the ending where it's all a dream to Harry, you know, just a dream, and so he's actually dead. So he imagined all these horrible things, which is a very creative thing for a writer.
But too bad he died before he could put it onto paper.
It's always the fucking way.
Yeah.
Or there's the ending. There's the bad ending. Or there's that ending where he doesn't escape at all, and there's no, where he escapes with Cheryl. The ending where he escapes with Cheryl and Sybil, and Carson gets pulled down by a zombie. Well, by Lisa, who herself is an interesting creature within herself.
She was about to become one of those puppet nurses.
Well, she claims she already was one. It's just it's like she was somehow allowed to keep her consciousness. So the way that the wiki and a lot of other things show it is that Alessa was fully aware that Lisa wasn't one of the other adults and wasn't trying to be mean to her, so she didn't have as much hatred towards her as she did towards the other adults. Which is also shown by how she sees her when you see some of Alessa's memories in the third one. But the second one, well, the entire thing is the entire premise is literally just my wife died 3 years ago. Now I've got a letter from her, and then as soon as you get into town, you start seeing more weirdos, effectively. I mean, Angela's story still fucks me up, especially if you've ever read the Japanese novel. The Japanese novelization of the second game it gives a lot more of an explanation as to why Angela is the way she is and what she actually escaped from. Wait.
Guys, I think I'm gonna have to go.
Alright then, dude.
I'm still gonna be listening, alright?
Alright, thanks for joining.
Okay.
Because Alessa's, you can guess mostly what Angela's story is.
Yeah.
She was basically sexually abused by her dad and her brother.
Yeah.
Her mom convinced her that it's all her fault and she deserves it all. But it seems like her mom got abused as well. Then eventually her mom just left, but in doing so left Angela alone to get abused by both her dad and her brother. And also, the novel also claims that she was a waitress. Like, she had a job as a waitress where she was constantly ogled by the truckers and the people who'd come in, because I think it's one of those lay-by cafe ones.
Yeah.
So she'd get ogled by them, harassed sexually, slapped on the arse, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually she couldn't take it anymore, and she killed her brother and her father, and then cut their penises off. While escaping to Silent Hill. But the town, I've noticed the town seems to have a will of its own. I think that's a thing we should come to later.
Yeah.
Because the town's always had power. They've established that with the, the ancient Indians that lived there and all the other people who died under mysterious circumstances. And the cult itself, but Angela's whole thing is that she's suicidal, mentally unstable, and it's the thing that always got me about it was that it just felt like it's too late for her.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what you do for Angela, or try to do for Angela, you can't save her, she's too far gone. And how she dies, and her last scene kind of cements that. And the fact that you invaded her world and fight and the boss you fight for, on her behalf is literally just a representation of her dad. Meanwhile, you've got James dealing with his own. But what I always thought was fun, and what I preferred with Silent Hill 2 over Downpour, for example, is that no matter what James does, it doesn't change what he did. It just changes how he deals with the situation. Because the problem I had with Downpour was that Murphy could have an entire history, if you played it a certain way, where he did nothing wrong. So therefore he was in prison for nothing. Whereas James, no matter what James does, he still kills his wife, no matter how you look at it. How he chooses to deal with it will, choose the ending. So, whether he decides he's going to live with it, die with it, or move on from it. If he can't. Because I think another thing we need to talk about is Laura, and dear God, the myths that came out of her existence. Because I take it you've heard the one that Laura isn't real.
No, I believe she is real.
Oh yeah, she is real. There was this whole thing years ago where some fans decided that Laura wasn't real because the monsters don't attack her. When in reality, we know that Eddie is real.
Yeah.
And you can see in the intro cutscene, she's coming into town with him. So she's definitely real, it's just she doesn't see Silent Hill the way that everyone else sees it. Because my theory has always been with Silent Hill that the town itself is alive, always had a power, it's always needed someone there though to control it. To a degree, it's always needed someone to control it, and Alessa had a powerful will, so the town kind of lent its power, so to speak. Because it only really became active after Alessa became the dominating factor. So once she was gone and there was no external stimuli to deal with it.
There's a switch.
It worked off a certain thing, because if you notice, the town doesn't kill children. Like, it's very merciful towards children in particular. But it punishes adults, and it's kind of like every single thing. Whenever someone comes into town, it's like a trial. Everyone's got a trial of some kind. Like, for example, Eddie's entire trial seems to be, him seeing what he did and face it, because all he ever seemed to see was violence and blood, which messed him up dramatically. Or at least that's the implication we get, is that it messed him up a lot, seeing all that stuff. But then afterwards, he's kind of like, oh, it's no big deal. Killing people isn't a problem. And he's completely okay with it, so that would say that he's failed his test. Angela's one seems to be telling her what she doesn't, she's, innocent, effectively, because she doesn't seem to to struggle getting through the monsters, like, not in a physical way. Like, you know, she's not being killed, she's not being attacked by the monsters so much, or they're not as dangerous as what, you know, what James is dealing with. At least that's my theory. That's kind of my theory with it, is that she's not dealing with you know, what he's dealing with. At least I think. But she is just trying to say to her, look, you're not the bad guy in this situation. You have every right to do what you did in order to, you know, survive. But she just can't take it because she still feels she deserves to suffer for what she did. Or she still feels that she isn't worth saving because what her dad did to her was so bad that she just accepts this is, you know, what I deserve.
Yeah.
And that's just depressing as fuck for me when it comes to Angela.
Yeah.
Because I really did like Angela. I felt she got the wrong end of the stick, unfortunately, when it came to, well, the rest came to all of them. Because Eddie, fuck him, he killed dogs, and, well...
Yeah.
Do not
then
like
tries to
dog
kill you.
Oh yeah, then tries to kill you, and it's possible he killed... I mean, you know, he would have killed other people as well. I mean, again, he failed his test effectively.
Yeah.
And as for James, well, I don't think James was a bad person. I remember someone did Silent Hill symbolism, and he made a very good point. It was a personal one to him, but he said that when they first played Silent Hill, they hated James with a passion. He kind of could see how that could weigh on someone's mind, and that's really all it is with James, really. He's dealing with the fact that his wife isn't going to get better. And on top of that, his wife is abusive to him as well. No matter how you look at it, I know Mary's the victim, but she was suffering so bad that it was different. It's hard, you know, when... I think the idea is that it's so hard when you're suffering to realise that you're making other people suffer as well. And that can it can be hard to, you know, differentiate, you know, to try and make it easier on everybody, not just you. Because he was trying for a bit, but, you know, stopped visiting her because every time he tried to go in, she'd be abusive, and unfortunately that was hurting both of them because she'd regret it instantly afterwards and then beg him to stay. And in his own mind, he did want his freedom back, but at the same time, I think both answers he gives her are legitimate ones. Yeah. When he asks why he killed her, why he killed her, and, you know, him saying that he couldn't bear to see her suffer, which was true, but then his whole,
Alucard,
I wanted my life
Richter?
back because he
There is
lost
a
3
Belmont
years
here.
of his life.
You were right about that.
The metaphor being,
Saul was with the enemy.
but
He called
she
himself
got
the
ill
Lord
3
of
years
this
ago.
castle.
What?
It got worse 3 years ago, so
That's
effectively the
impossible.
Mary he
You're
knew was
wrong.
dead. Which
I
I
have to
think
go.
we've missed over one character. One I really don't like. But we have to talk about her. Maria. You want to take this one?
Yeah, Maria is the basically everything that James wanted Mary to be.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. So, you know, he wanted this hot, sexy wife that will, you know, attend to his needs.
Oh god, the game does love to pull on his needs.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course I don't approve of such a thing, but, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, but there's all those, there's more to it than that as well. There's the whole shit, you know, she dies twice in the game, I think needs to be made a point of. Yeah, she just happens to die twice in front of him, and Pyramid Head, if you notice, another thing we have to talk about is Pyramid Head and how he's unique from the other monsters, and not what Konami made him into. basically he's literally meant to be the representation of well, I think the idea was that when James first came to Silent Hill, he saw like executioners, like in the old Silent Hill things, and there were people wearing like triangular looking bags on their heads, and they were the dispensers of justice. And to him, he saw that, and Pyramid Head therefore represents justice to a degree. And he does feel guilt for killing his wife. He's taken no joy out of it. It's caused him so much pain he's forgotten he's done it. And Pyramid Head's it's kind of like his subconscious reminding him that he did do something bad. He deserved punishment. And that Maria and him pining over Maria and everything, he needs to be reminded that Maria isn't real. And it's a consistent thing that he needs to be told. Maria is not real. So, stop pining for her. And he just doesn't get it. In fact, a lot of his behaviour, I think you could say, is very dumb, to be honest. Like him sticking his hand in the toilet.
Yeah,
you're jumping into holes and things. It's entirely possible as well that the things he's trying to get to, like when he's trying to get to the hotel, it's nowhere near as far as he thinks it is. Because Laura got there without a boat, so I think certain obstacles are only there in his head. And Silent Hill, I think, by that point, that particular part of town has been abandoned.
Yeah.
I think, because he runs into no other people. And the cult is still active in Silent Hill. I think that needs to be reiterated, that the cult is still doing shit. It's just they're in a different part of Silent Hill.
Mostly in the old part of Silent Hill.
Yeah. And they're more focused on getting Alessa back.
Oh, but I think some of their operations did move to the new part of Silent Hill in the third game, in Brookhaven Hospital.
Ah, yes.
But we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, we'll get to Silent Hill 3 soon, but Silent Hill 2's entire thing for me was that it's goddamn atmosphere. Dear God, it's atmosphere.
Yeah, and a lot create that atmosphere.
Well, the empty streets, some people have complained there's not enough monsters or anything around, and that destroys a lot of people's care for the series. And I'm like, well, to me, I like the fact that there's not much there. It creates the scariness. It creates a scariness factor, and the monsters themselves are genuinely fucking creepy. To a ridiculous extent. Oh lordy! I mean, again, I love Silent Hill 2. I love its pieces, but James is. I admit I don't approve of the whole killing his wife thing, but I do understand why he did it, at least. And I did like the whole him reconnecting with Mary. I did hate the whole any ending we got where he chose Maria, where he rejects Mary and goes straight with Maria, and you get the Reeve ending where he goes off with Maria and she pretty much just, starts contracting the same illness, proving that he's going to do this again. Like he hasn't learned a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there is also an ending where he gets kidnapped by aliens too, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
Oh god. And of course, there's the ending where he kills himself, which the writers have always been a bit skeptical over which ending they consider to be canon.
Oh, and there's the rights ending.
You mean the one where he tries to bring his wife back from the dead?
Yeah, and that brings in like another aspect of the cult.
Ah, yes. Well,
It's like
it had to bring the cult back in some capacity.
Yeah, and they're like, well, if did you miss the cult? Well, here's this ending.
Yeah. And he just takes Mary's body with him.
Yeah.
And the In the Water ending, which is the canon ending as far as some of the creators are concerned.
Yeah.
Well, they've decided that that is just the ending now for, him killing himself because he can't live without her, but, he also can't live with the fact that he's the one who killed her.
I prefer the ending where he leaves with Laura.
I like that one too.
Yeah, cause and...
It does, because it's pretty much, Mary wanted to adopt her. That's been made the point, is that Mary wanted to adopt Laura.
Yeah.
And unfortunately she wasn't going to be able to do that, so the most that James could do was fulfill her last wish.
And if you're gonna... and then if the in-water ending is the canon ending, what becomes of Laura?
I know, effectively, if we go... No matter how you look at it, it's dead. Sorry, what's it? Look, Angela's dead, and Angela wouldn't exactly be, even if she wasn't, she wouldn't exactly be a suitable person to look after Laura.
Yeah.
Eddie's certainly not.
Yeah, he's dead, and thank God.
Yeah, there's no one else in town to look after her.
Yeah, he would probably have tried to kill her.
Oh yeah, especially now when he's decided that he'll kill anyone who insults her. Worst case scenario, he might even end up being basically like Angela's dad.
Really? You think so? He doesn't strike me as a sexual guy.
I meant the physical abuse thing, but yeah, I think that he would. I think he'd just abuse the shit out of her in some capacity. Well, let's face it, he's completely unstable.
Yeah. He's yeah.
He's a dangerous motherfucker is what he is.
Yeah. And this is why you don't bully people, kids.
Yeah, because you end up like that asshole.
Well, no, because the people you're bullying will end up like that asshole.
Yeah, I guess.
And then they'll kill you.
God, it's just... It's just amazing. It's just amazing to think of how fucked up that guy that guy is. I mean, no matter how you look at it, James surviving would be the only way to keep her alive. Sadly.
Yeah. Okay. Have we talked enough about Pyramid Head?
I don't think we've talked that much about him, if I'm being brutally honest. There isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot more to Pyramid Head, and he's not. It's not. I don't just mean the whole him just hanging out and doing. Because really, that's all he does. He does in later games. I mean, all he does in Homecoming is just hang out.
And I think we should address that.
Yeah, because again, he served a purpose. That needs to be reiterated, is that he serves an actual purpose to the series, and that is literally that he literally exists for the sole purpose of, for James's punishment, effectively.
Yeah. But no, the fans loved him to bits, and they're like, "Oh, bring him back."
Yeah,
And
without
then
understanding that there is a point to.
You're
There's
stronger
a point to
than
him.
I
He
am.
literally
You can
exists
save
solely
Richter.
to punish
Will
James.
you? Please?
I can't
And
promise
that's it.
Yeah.
That's all he's there for.
But I
That's why
will
he didn't
stop
appear in Silent
If
Hill
it must
1.
be that way.
That's why he
Here.
didn't appear in
I
Silent Hill
found
3.
these. Take them.
And all of
And
the games
these
have just
are?
kind of abused his existence.
If you wear them, you can see beyond illusions.
And it's all because Konami caved.
I go to find Richter.
Yep, they caved. They
Stay
thought, oh well,
and
people
pray
like
for
Pyramid
him.
Head, let's contrive the most ridiculous excuse to bring him back.
Yeah, and let's make him look like the movie version. Even though his head doesn't look like a pyramid. Because the last time I looked, a pyramid has like 4 corners with a pointy bit on top. His has 3 corners, bit on top. And they made him really muscular too. And I was like,
Oh, let's
you
not
don't
forget
need
when
to
they
make
called him the Boogeyman.
Yeah. And like, you didn't need to make him muscular. I mean, when he just looked ordinary, he was pretty creepy, because an ordinary person lifting up a massive, like, knife, that's scary.
I mean, there's also the fan theory that underneath the pyramid, the head is actually just, well, James's face.
I actually support that theory.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
'Cause
Honestly, it wouldn't be that. It would, because effectively that's what he is. He is James's violence. That's what that scene
Yeah.
with the whole quote unquote raping of the mannequin is meant to be. It's symbolic of his abuse, of, how abusive he was as well, and the violence he's committed against Mary.
And his sexual frustrations.
Oh God, yes. There's that. There's his sexual frustrations as well. Fuck, I forgot all about that one.
And they're apparent in the nurses and the mannequins as well.
Yeah.
And it's like a theory suggests like the mannequins is just like a walking pair of legs, which suggests he's a leg man.
Well, yeah. There's that.
And then the nurses he was just checking out some nurses.
Yeah, that's why they don't have faces.
He's like, oh yes, if I could score with her,
That's why they're all interchangeable, because he doesn't really care about them, the person. He's just interested in how they look.
Yeah.
And of course, well, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that the movies and everything else afterwards started adding the nurses being that way. I mean, keeping in mind, in the first game, the nurses didn't look anything like that.
No.
The nurses looked like the nurses that would have been around when Alessa was young.
Yeah. With a huge parasite growing out of their back.
Yes, there is that as well. They were being controlled by something which could be seen as symbolic of the cult controlling the medical service that she was getting.
I think that's exactly it.
Well, again, I haven't read the wiki, so I was just going off. Well, because everything is drenched in symbolism in some way. Every monster is drenched in some kind of symbolism. And that's how I always saw it, was something being controlled, and the fact that she was always in a hospital. And she wanted to die so much, but couldn't have that because, again, the cult was doing everything in their power to make sure she'd live.
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, again, in Silent Hill 2, the way they looked is understandable, because it's just James just checking out nurses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get to the third game, they still look the same. We're like, why?
Yeah, I was confused. Again, mainly because the third game was still made by at least people who got what was going on.
They were like, oh, why? It's like, is Heather does she like girls? I mean, did she visit a hospital and see some cute nurses?
Well, we do have to talk about Silent Hill 3 eventually, but I think we've covered it as much as we can on 2 at this point. With that said, 2 is the PS2 version. If anyone wants to give it a go, I definitely recommend just picking up an original version. The HD version will do no justice for you, I assure you. Just skip that little hellhole. But getting on to the third one to begin with, I didn't like. I didn't really care for it, but I guess that's mainly because I went from the first game all the way to the third game. I went from the second game and never looked back.
Yeah. Well, I like hate it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I do like the
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate the third game. I mean, I just loved the second game so much. It's just that I go into that and I'm kind of like, okay, this is different. Yeah, and so guys, if you want to play the third game, I recommend playing the first game.
You're going to need the first game just to even though, because it's literally, the third one is the only one that's like a direct continuation of the first one, of any of the others. So I'd still say it's essential re-watching just for that alone.
Yeah.
Just so you know why this cult is around, why Harry's death, because you barely even see Harry, let's be brutally honest with you. Yeah, Harry is barely in the game, is barely in the first game at all, is barely in the third game at all. You just like get a phone call from him, and that's really as far as it goes. And then suddenly he's killed by a boss. Or because they want to make Heather as angry as they possibly can. Gyromancy you down.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. That is the entire thing with 3. I mean, they did make references here and there to, like, some people have taken it when Douglas mentions that he was in Silent Hill looking for some guy and never found him, and people have taken that to mean that he was looking for James. Not necessarily, but a fair enough assessment. But yeah, Silent Hill 3 is literally just going through some Silent Hill 2-ish areas. And also, well, we'd have to talk about Leonard, wouldn't we?
Yeah, at some point, yeah. Let's start by saying you don't start off in Silent Hill.
Yeah, that is a point, but you do experience Silent Hill itself.
Yeah. So you spend like the first half of the game like trying to get, and it immediately throws you into the deep end. And you meet 2 kooky characters along the way.
Yes.
Claudia and Vincent.
Claudia is bargain basement down.
Except
what it fucking is.
The only difference is that Claudia is more sympathetic.
Well, yeah, granted, but still.
Yeah.
Look, I'll admit my only real attachment to Dahlia is the amount of jokes people have made about gyromancy.
Yeah.
I'll admit that's literally it.
Hmm.
That wasn't very gyromantic, Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, her whole thing, because it's the fact that she also has that whole connection to Alessa as well.
Yeah,
Again,
she was like
until this
Alessa's
point,
only friend.
well, that's the thing. Until then, all we've gotten is the kids were abusive towards Alessa,
Yeah.
and the adults were just as bad.
Yeah. And the question is, where was Claudia?
That is a good question. A very good question.
I mean,
in fact.
if all these kids were picking on Alessa, what happened to Claudia?
I don't know. Maybe maybe they sectioned her away because it's clear that her dad abused the shit out of her as well.
Yeah, and it's also been made clear.
It's possible that, you know, like how they make sure when they slaughter animals or stuff, they keep the kids and all that away, and they tell you not to get attached to it or anything because that'll get in the way. It's entirely possible that they let Claudia be friends with Alessa to give her some semblance of happiness, just so they could take Claudia away from her to hurt her more, because again, that seems to have been the entire point, was to cause her so much pain. Or at least that seems to be the idea, is that they seem to want her to feel nothing but the more pain she's in, the better it will be for their, you know, their whole god thing.
And
I've been waiting.
So yeah, Claudia and Alessa were like childhood friends, and so they would play together while Leonard and Dahlia go off and do like crazy cult stuff.
Crazy cult stuff.
But we've only just
Oh
begun.
god.
The
Like making the
master's
flout
decision is
roast
at
into the seal of Metatron.
Yeah, they're like. I mean, yeah, I can definitely see Leonard and Dahlia getting along like a house on fire.
What? Well, here's a question. Who the hell do you think was Alessa's father?
Well, the rumours go. Well, there were rumours that it's Kaufman, but Ick.
I can sadly see it. It would explain where her black hair came from.
Or it is. I mean, it could also be Leonard.
Oh god. It would explain why. It would also be another thing to explain how Alessa and Claudia were close. But yeah, even that.
But it could also be some random guy.
Knowing Dahlia, yes.
Or some people say it could be a demon.
In this series, I honestly would not be surprised.
So yeah, poor Claudia has been suffered abuse at the hands of Leonard, her dad.
Yeah, Leonard's not exactly father of the year.
No, and basically she became everything he wanted her to be.
Yeah, crazy cult bitch.
Yeah, but she still harboured hatred for him.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And that's pretty much everything.
Well, as Vincent as well. God, mentioned Vincent.
Yeah, I was just creating a segue for it.
Yeah, because I think it needs to be made a point.
And
nothing.
I was just yes, that's everything you need to know about Claudia. Now on to Vincent.
Fucking hell.
That guy is weird.
he clearly has an investment in what's going on. But where he lies, what his entire intent really is a mystery.
And he's like, he's the character that says interesting thing ever that completely blows your mind, like a lot of fans' minds.
Oh yeah, at the time it was really fucked up.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the whole she sees the people as monsters?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that is a very fucked up thing to even think about, really.
Yeah. So yeah, Vincent seems to be the only one that has a bit of sympathy for Claudia.
I mean, in the movie,
he says,
they made him her son, which I thought was fucking ridiculous.
I'm like, yeah, and they made him a love interest for Heather.
Well, considering she's kind of part of Alessa, that would make them like cousins or some shit.
And I don't
know, the movie made a lot of, because in the movie, Claudia was Dahlia's sister.
The thing is about Silent Hill Revelations, it disregarded everything the first film did.
Oh god, yeah. Completely disregarded that whole thing.
But we'll get to that in a bit.
Oh god, yes, we'll get to those movies at some point. But yeah, the major issue I had with 3 was just, I don't know, it did seem to focus more on action, not to a ridiculous degree, but it's the fact that those things factored a lot of the things that, the weapons and endings and stuff you'd get later.
Yeah.
If she killed too many people, killed too many enemies. Because it's implied that the monsters are just, the cult members. Which honestly, the cult members, if you remember, Harry actually killed them.
Yeah.
In order to protect Heather. Oh, Heather.
Yeah.
The shit that Harry goes through.
Yeah. I gotta say, I do like her as a character.
Oh yeah. Well, again, when it comes to the whole Heather situation, Cheryl was a blank slate. A very blank slate, I want to point out. She didn't really have much of a personality that we knew of.
Yeah.
So, there wasn't really, that was never a factor. It was, they could have really done anything with her and it would have worked. Well, no one could question it was unfaithful to the character. But of course, by the same merits, well, I like her newest personality. I really did like the fact that she was the most interesting of characters for me, if you really count the first 3 characters, because again, everyone else like James and Harry didn't know how bad Silent Hill really was until it was too late to back out.
Yeah.
Heather, on the other hand, knew full well, experienced firsthand what Silent Hill was all about, realised it was not her cup of tea, and then went back in for a second taste. You know, she's the one person who willingly went back to Silent Hill, knowing full well that what was waiting for her was probably worse than what she'd ever imagined. And I think that makes Heather one of, if not the most badass of all of the Silent Hill protagonists.
Yeah.
And Douglas, I do like Douglas. I do feel absolute sympathy for him.
Yeah, Douglas. What is there to say about him?
Well, again, there are theories to him. That's really all there is to Douglas. There's theories that he was a detective sent to find James. You know, there was that whole thing. But there's also the theory that he shot his son because his son was kind of killed robbing a bank or something. So, you know, there's that.
Yeah. The only thing we pretty much know about him is that he was hired by Claudia to find Heather.
Yeah, that's really all there is to him. Sadly, that he was hired by them to pretty much find Heather, not realizing it, and seemingly he was pulled into the Silent Hill-esque hell as well. So yeah, that shows how the fact that the cults can control it was concerning to me. Well, that was the biggest concern for me, was that they could somehow control, Silent Hill's power and make it do the horrific things it was doing.
Yeah.
That always worried me. But yeah, that whole thing and the whole darker lesser thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you also get a few things of Lisa as well within the background. Showing how because a lot of it is experiencing Alessa's thing and understand. Because again, Cheryl doesn't really understand that much about Alessa, but she slowly grows to understand that Alessa really lived a shitty life.
Yeah.
And she was probably dealing with this a lot longer than Heather was.
I mean, yeah. Well, we've pretty much talked about the main characters in that, but there are some other characters in there as well.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, what? You cut out there.
Pretty minor characters.
Yeah.
I
mean, Leonard.
Let's start with Leonard.
Okay. Oh boy. I mean, Malcolm McDowell interpretation, only in it for a bit, and he seems to be against his daughter to some degree.
Yeah.
But he turns into a monster anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah. So, yeah.
And Vincent we've already covered, but...
Yeah. It goes without saying, Leonard is a bastard.
Yeah, Leonard is a complete bastard. No ifs or buts about it.
Yeah. He basically wanted Heather on his side to help him destroy Claudia, but Heather's not having any of it.
Naturally.
Yeah, because he's just as bad.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Arguably worse, but... It varies on your point of view.
Yeah. And then he's, But then he's like, wait a minute. I can't remember exactly what he said. It was like, you're a heretic.
Oh god,
along those lines.
Yeah,
you're a heretic, and you must die.
Nut job.
Yeah. And then he just comes out of the shadows and he's already a monster.
Yeah. Silent Hill 3 really did like turning the cult members into monsters, because ultimately, that's what they were.
Yeah. Is there any more we can say about Leonard?
There isn't really much more to him, because again, he's only in the hospital scene, and he's not that big of a... He's not really that big of a... You know, he's not really that useful, important of a character, if we're being brutally honest about it.
I mean, the only true purpose he serves is that he provides, like, background for Claudia.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Right. I think another character we should bring up is Stanley.
Stanley. I might need to be reminded on this one. I haven't played Silent Hill 3 in a long time.
Yeah. Stanley Coleman is an unseen character that stalks Heather in the hospital.
Ah.
Yeah. He leaves everything along. And if you look at the doll before you look at his letter, Heather will make the comment that she used to play with dolls like these, and then you read the note and it's just basically Stanley has this obsessive, lustful crush on Heather. It's like calling her his love and all that, and and some of his letters like provide clues on how to get further in the hospital, and then Heather doesn't really comment on it, except if you look at the doll again, and then she said something along the lines, "I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole." Yeah. And basically, Stanley, he keeps leaving her all these letters and all that, and the more letters, and as you read each one of them, he gets more and more frustrated. Yeah, and if you check out my channel, I actually did like a dramatization of those letters. You know, where I play the role of Stanley.
I'll actually get a look at some point.
Yeah, I mean, not to plug anything. I'm just saying I just did it.
It's okay if you do, but
yeah, okay. And so yeah, what he does provide helpful hints, and then later on, through another character, you find out he's dead. And it's suspected that Leonard. And if you go into the basement, it's mentioned that he's now called Number 7. And if you go down into like the basement area, there's like a trolley of bodies marked with numbers. And if you go up to Number 7, you can faintly hear like a gasping sound coming from it.
Oh.
Like he's trying to communicate with Heather, but that's all you get from it.
That's dark.
So, and yeah, if you look at his like hospital record, apparently he's done this kind of thing before with a nurse.
Ah.
Yeah. So yeah, and I always found that to be one of the most creepiest things in Silent Hill 3. The fact that you're playing a young woman who's being like stalked in the dark by this stranger, it's just unsettling.
I can completely understand that.
Yeah, and okay, and then this brings me to the other character that I mentioned, but is the Happy Birthday guy.
Ah, yes, the Happy Birthday guy.
Yeah. Who, you know, who confuses Heather for Alessa and then Cheryl. Yeah. I mean, I think that's seems to be his purpose. He gives a clue of like who Heather is.
Because again, all Heather really has is whatever Harry told her.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
And I mean, that seems to be the only purpose the Happy Birthday guy is. He's just a guy who rings Heather up on a disconnected phone and then wishes her a happy birthday. And she's like, well, who is this? And he's like, well, Robert Stanley, or should I say, number 7.
Yeah, that's creepy as hell.
Yeah, and we have no idea who this guy is. And, yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is, in his final letter, Stanley does warn Heather about...
Oh, that's nice of him at least.
Yeah. But other... yeah, those are the only purposes those characters serve, but I just remembered one other character.
Oh?
And that's the Confessor.
Oh yes, the Confessor.
Yeah. Who people assume is Dahlia.
Interesting theory.
It's an I mean, if this is true, then that means that Dahlia feels remorse about what she's done.
It'd be a start, but she's at the point where it's too late, especially... The thing is, people survive death weirdly in Silent Hill 1. Well, in Silent Hill games in general. It's like when you die in Silent Hill, you're kind of stuck there. Like, the general rules of what happens to the soul no longer applies.
Yeah. And, personally, I doubt that it's Dahlia.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting theory, and while it'd be cool,
interesting.
I guess, it's very unlikely to be, you know, Dahlia at all. Especially considering that Dahlia was so into her cult and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. And it would be way out of character.
It would.
Yeah. So yeah, and those are the only I think that's pretty much all the characters. Oh, wait a minute, one other.
Oh?
Valtiel.
Ah, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The guy the creature wanted to keep Heather alive just a little longer. Not really an ally, just wants to keep her alive and just so she can birth the god.
Well, something.
Yeah. And there are rumours going around saying that Valtiel is the same as Pyramid Head, but I doubt it.
I doubt it completely, because, again, I don't know, it just feels like it'd go completely against, you know, the nature of what the creatures of Silent Hill generally are.
Fair.
Yeah, I think that's really all there is to Silent Hill 3, really. I mean, there's the whole thing at the end where it confirms that Sybil is dead purely because the Galapagos that she has that basically stops the god is the same one that is the same one that you could use to save Sybil.
Yeah. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that sometimes when you see Valtiel, he's turning like two dials.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to indicate that he's the one shifting Silent Hill from the fog world to the other world.
Ah yeah, Silent Hill's fog. I can't believe we've gotten this far without mentioning that to people. Some people think it's Ash because of the movies, but it's not, so let's be brutally honest with everybody here. It is just, it is fog. And originally it was made, so it was treated as a way to save memory limitations, because you got to remember that for its time, Silent Hill 1 was very powerful for its time. I mean, you've heard of Tekken 3 and why every time you played as True Ogre, the scene had to put the background was always blacked out whenever you picked him to fight. Apparently, because his sprite, the whole thing with him was so advanced that you could not actually like the game couldn't process it. So they had to blacken the background. And the fog routine is the same thing. It works to help load the game properly, but it also obstructed what was going on in front of you, making it a bit more terrifying. At least that was the intent.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I had to cut in because you forgot. Fog is one of the most iconic things in Silent Hill, really. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much all we have to say about Silent Hill 3.
The next one, I'm going to be honest, I have not played 4. I don't know that much about it. So this will be mostly you, again.
Yeah. Well, understandably, Silent Hill 4 is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are rumours surrounding Silent Hill 4, whether it was meant to be an actual Silent Hill game, or whether it was just a spin-off, or an entirely different game altogether. I was one of those people who
didn't think it was an actual Silent Hill game originally. I'll admit that.
Yeah, but it does bring up like some stuff in it that was mentioned in Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, you mean the thing about Walter?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at Silent Hill 2, it's like there doesn't seem to be a point to that.
Yeah, I mean apart from answering a few questions in the elevator. That's really about it, if you remember the questions in the elevator Walter mentioned.
Yeah.
That's about it, and that's the real only connection you can think of for why it's in Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, and then you look at it, it's like, okay, who is this Walter Sullivan guy? What does... I mean, is he a part of the story? Is he one of the characters you eventually meet? And nothing. And later on you find a grave with his name on it, and it's like... What's this got to do with that?
Also connected somehow to him, wasn't she? Did she, like, convince him that the apartment was his mom?
Yes. That's what happened.
Okay, I kind of figured that's what it was.
Yeah.
Another check. Yeah, I kind of figured that he was that Dahlia's only real connection to it was that she convinced him that the apartment was his mom.
Yeah.
And Liz is giving me looks like, what? Yeah, I think Yahtzee tried to explain it at one point, saying, I don't know how to explain Silent Hill 4, so I'll just say this. The villain is this guy who thinks that the apartment is his mom.
Yeah. But yeah. So but the other connection to Silent Hill 2 is that the landlord of the apartment is James's dad.
Ah, you'd think there'd be some connection mentioning his son going missing.
He does mention his son. He's like his son. I recall he mentions Silent Hill. It's like what was it? Oh yes, my son and his wife sometimes go to Silent Hill. Haven't seen them in a... And that's it.
Oh wow, the hints going on there.
It's
Oh,
like,
we forgot to mention the endings for Silent Hill 3. Fuck, I forgot about that.
okay.
There's only 3,
Yeah.
but there's the ending where, you know, where Heather goes off and ends up with Heather. Well, ends up hanging out with what you call it?
Douglas.
Douglas, yeah, that's it. She ends up hanging out with Douglas and makes a blondes have more fun joke.
Yeah, she pretends to be possessed, and
Yeah,
she
and
goes, "Gotcha."
Then there's that one
Gotcha.
ending where she actually does kill him, and then there's the UFO ending, which is my personal favourite for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's the
Harry,
best.
Harry turns up alive and well with the aliens, who are now all buddy.
Yeah.
And
With
also
James hiding behind a curtain.
Oh yeah, James. Yeah, and then they mention that that's it. They've had enough of the town, and then the aliens destroy Silent Hill.
And then they have that funny song.
Yeah. Silent Hill song.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
So yeah, those are the endings.
Yeah, those are pretty much the only endings you get for Silent Hill 3. But yeah, sorry about that. I just felt I thought we finished part 3. I honestly forgot that we didn't mention the endings, so that's on me.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. Let's see, when was I? So yeah. Oh yeah, I was just making a joke about Frank Sunderland.
Ah, yeah. Wow.
It was like, haven't seen my son and his wife for a while. Never mind.
Yeah, they're totally not dead or anything.
Anyway, getting to the story. Yeah. So it's called Henry Townsend, who, he moved into a new apartment, and, he sometimes takes pictures in Silent Hill. And then all of a sudden, one day, he finds that his door is locked and bolted, he can't get out, no one can hear him from the other side. And he finds a mysterious hole in his bathroom, which he climbs through, and he ends up in Silent Hill.
Huh. Neat.
Yeah. And, yeah. And he meets a bunch of characters along the way, some of them end up dead.
Yeah, Silent Hill if they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, the first person is a prostitute named, oh god, what was her name again? Cynthia, who says that if he helps her out, she will do him a favour. But she dies.
Of course.
We don't see how. She's just lying there blooded, and there's like a little sad song that plays as Henry's cradling her.
Ah.
Yeah. And then
Hashtag hookers need love too.
yeah, it's like each time he goes through the hole, after a certain character has died, he's like in a different place in Silent Hill.
Ah.
So where he where he meets Cynthia is in the subway. Yeah. And then in the next world, he goes to like the forest, and that's where he meets Jasper, who he doesn't have much interaction with. He's like this stuttering weirdo. And it's like there's no cut. I mean, there's hardly any cutscenes with him. It's like Henry doesn't even talk to him. But there are theories about it. It's like one theory suggests that he's just annoyed by him, which you can't really blame. Can't really blame him. Jasper is annoying.
Oh, poor Jasper. He gets no sympathy, not even from Eve.
Yeah. Well, Jasper is just basically one of those conspiracy theory nuts.
Oh, God. Grassy knowledge.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. He's like, imagine one of those with a stutter.
Oh, God. Just have to pick the
So he's
worst
like,
fucking stereotypes you possibly can.
Yeah, and for some reason he's wearing a t-shirt of the Incubus.
References, I guess?
Yeah, and it's like, I met the crazy guy, and he said he'd show me things. Kind of like that.
Oh, wow, that's not going to get annoying fast.
Yeah. And there is a point, it's like, you end up at the orphanage.
Okay.
That's where Walter was. And to get in, you need the key to get inside. But the only way you can get that is from Jasper, who refuses to give it to you unless you give him a drink. So you have to go back to your apartment and get from your fridge a chocolate milk. Go back through the hole, give him the chocolate milk, and he gives you the key.
Oh my God, that just sounds fucking arduous as shit.
Yeah. So so Jasper dies by burning to death.
Too good for him.
But funny thing is, Henry doesn't seem fazed by it.
Well, it seems like it was more of a hindrance than anything else.
Yeah, and then the next world you visit is it's like this prison area. It's where they used to keep the orphans, where the cult used to keep them. And the next kooky character you meet is a guy called Andrew, who again has no cut scenes with Henry.
He's just some random guy.
Well, I think it's because Henry kind of got the sense of basically Andrew is like an abusive asshole. Who abused the orphans. And so I think one of the theories suggests that Henry kind of got it and is like, fuck this guy.
Can't blame him there.
Yeah. So, and when you reach the end of that prison stage, he dies by drowning.
Ah, too good.
And then, yeah. Then the next world you visit is basically, I think it's like a type world, and that's where you meet. Well, first time you interact with a guy called Richard. who's another asshole.
God, we are just getting the asshole brigade all day today.
Yep. And thing is with Richard, if he lives in like a. If you look out the window, you could see him in his apartment. Yeah. Basically, he doesn't really do anything. He's just stand there, look out, hands on his hips, looking a bit frowny.
A bit frowny.
Yeah. And sometimes peephole of the door and look at people. You know, watch like cutscenes of people like talking about you and stuff, and one of those should. Yeah. And
those assholes.
Yeah, basically he's like a bad-tempered. He's like the if you live in an apartment, he's like the bad-tempered like guy who lives somewhere in the building.
Of course.
Yeah, and then at the end of the building level, he dies by electrocution in his apartment.
Oh, that's not right to be.
Yeah, for some reason in his apartment he keeps an electric chair.
Why?
I have no idea.
That seems completely detrimental.
Yeah. And then in the next world, it's you for the first time you interact with a woman called Eileen.
Okay.
Who is supposed to be kind of like Henry's love interest.
Of course.
She lives right next door to him, and this is where some of the Silent Hill 4 jokes come in. It's like there's like a hole in the corner of Henry's apartment. If you look through, you can just look into her room.
Oh, peeping.
Yeah. I mean, if you look, don't worry, this is not X-rated stuff.
No.
She doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything lewd. I mean, if you look through, you can just see she doesn't really have much of a life.
Wow.
She sometimes just sits on the bed, or she just she just sometimes just see her just sitting on the bed, and sometimes she just gets up, picks up a brush, and then just goes outside and sweeps the hallways. And she also has a Robbie the Rabbit stuffed toy as well.
Oh god, Robbie the Rabbit. I forgot all about that. I actually went over to it when I was in Glasgow at one point. I promised my friend Charlotte I'd pick something Silent Hill stuff. The hole was the only thing I could pick up was Robbie the Rabbit stuff.
Yeah. Gotta have a Robbie the Rabbit plush.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Oh. Well.
I would love to, but I don't know where to get one.
Well, I got one from a place called Jukaboo. But that was like 3 years ago, and it was the only one left. It cost me like 25 quid. And that was just so I could say to Charlotte, I picked you up a Silent Hill-ish thing, because merchandise for Silent Hill is difficult enough. Though she has got a homemade Halo of the Sun.
Yeah. And also I forgot to mention one other character. There's a little boy that you see running around the different worlds.
Okay.
And you first see him in the forest world.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he's like Walter's child self. like the innocent side to him. Yeah, and basically, what it is like, whenever you see little Walter, tis not far behind. Yeah, and what happens in the forest world is that he gets scared by Jasper.
Why wouldn't you be scared of a crazed guy who has conspiracy theories about the moon?
Yeah, I know. It's like Jasper just like he's around. He's like, I knew it and all that, and starts laughing manically and this scares the little boy off. And then he appears in the prison world where Andrews sees him, and he's like on his knees begging for forgiveness. And then in the building world, he gets shouted at by Richard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ending. Is he's standing over like Eileen, who's like really beaten up and dying. She's like but he looks very sad when he looks at her, and she's like I hope, I can't remember what she says. Yeah, but she doesn't die.
Well,
which is a good thing.
Oh, well, that's a start.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention, also in the apartment world is where you meet Big Walter.
The big bad version of Walter.
Oh yeah. We'll talk more about him later. But I will just talk about his appearances, but before we get more into Walter's character.
Okay.
You first see him just before you go to the apartment world. It's like when you're in because in the previous world, where in the building world where Richard's being electrocuted, little Walter is like looking outside his apartment window, pointing at something. Although you're not sure what. But then when all that is over, you go over. When you're back in your apartment and you're in full control, you go up to the window, look over to Richard's apartment. In little Walter's place is Big Walter, and he's pointing. Pretty creepy moment. He's just pointing at.
Walter
he seems to be
like
pointing.
A creepy bastard.
Yeah, and he seems to be pointing at Eileen's apartment.
Damn it.
And so you go into, and you go into the apartment world again, and he's basically, the apartment world is just like the other world version of your apartment building. Inside it, basically the interior.
Okay.
And so you go there, and Walter is standing outside your door.
Shit.
Yeah, knocking on it as if like trying to get in because it's his mum. Well, in his mind. And then
really fucked up to think that the apartment is your mom.
Yeah. Well, there is a reason for that, which we'll get into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then try and get through this as quick as I can. So after he's done the knocking, he gets a bit frustrated and walks off. And then later on, you see him sitting on the stairs, and he's looking at a doll. And he's like, Eileen gave this to me a long time ago. You can have it if you want. And he just lays it down next to him, and you get given the choice of whether you want to take it or not.
And I take it there are consequences to taking the said doll.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And then that's the last you see of him in the apartment world. And at that point, he's pretty friendly.
Huh.
And that's the only time you ever see him that way.
Oh dear. I get the feeling things
Yeah.
are about to get more fucked up.
Oh yeah, because after the apartment world and Eileen is dying, you go back to the real world and you look through the hole that looks into Eileen's apartment. You see two police officers who explain that Eileen's in the hospital, and just to add to the creepy factor, Robbie the Rabbit is looking at you, pointing.
That is actually pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah. And yeah, so the next world you go to is the hospital world. And you run into Walter there, who seems to be like mangling a body on a gurney. And when he looks at you, he seems to be in like a trance-like state, you know, grinning, and then he's like walking towards you. But luckily you managed to get out of there. And then basically the objective is to find Eileen. And the thing is, and from then on, she accompanies you throughout the other Silent Hill.
Is she definitely you know, like kind of like what Ashley is in Resident Evil 2, 4, or?
Actually, she's
Oh,
because she can actually fight the monsters.
good, good.
Not very well. Not very well, because she has very limited weapons, like I think one of the weapons crop.
Some interesting weapons to take in, but then again, this is
Yeah.
Silent Hill. We've seen weirder shit.
Yeah. And then basically you revisit the other world, but with a difference.
Oh.
It's like the main characters that are killed have become ghosts and are after you.
Right, because you were somehow responsible for their deaths in some way, right?
No, they just become vengeful spirits.
Oh,
And
that's
pretty much
depressing.
you're in their way. And the only way to stop them from going after you is to collect these, I think, these swords. So you gotta rough them up a bit first and then stick a sword in them, and that just pins them down throughout the level. So every time you go back...
Over the top, but I'll accept it.
Yeah. And also another difference is Big Walter becomes an enemy.
It was inevitable, I suppose.
Yeah. He follows you and then, you know, and tries to attack you. While laughing manically. And so, and he will not leave you alone.
And you can't defeat him, I take it.
No, you can hit him a bunch of times. You can stun him, but he always recovers.
Just like Mr. X before.
Yeah. And so basically, and then when you get to the end of the game, Walter is like the final boss. And it's kind of like on a time limit, depending on how well Eileen is. Because pretty healthy, because Eileen is possessed and she's moving towards a death trap. slowly. And depending and so you've got to beat this boss quickly. And the speed of her going into this death trap depends entirely on how much hit she took in. Yeah. So that's basically Silent Hill 4 storyline-wise.
Oh. Well, again, I never really got the chance to play it, so there's that. I mean, I've got it.
You could.
I have got the game on the PS2. I just haven't got round to playing it.
Yeah. I mean, you could play it, or you could watch a playthrough, or watch Dina Natali's videos. Because she goes into great depth, in much greater than I could.
Well, I don't consider it, because again, don't get me wrong, I don't really care much about Homecoming, so I've ignored that one. And, now we've got on to that. What about the endings?
Well, the endings? Well, I can only remember 2 of the endings, to be honest. I mean, because it's been a while. But one of them is like the really good ending. Where it's like Henry visits Eileen in the hospital, and you know, they get on pretty well. It's kind of hinted that they become a couple.
Nice.
And then there's the really bad ending with Walter and little Walter finally get into Henry's apartment and live happily ever after.
Weird.
Yeah. Also, I forgot. Once you get to the second half, your apartment becomes haunted.
Right, and how does one deal with that?
The only way to get rid of these hauntings is to collect these candles and put them into, like, the center of the haunting. And the thing is, you take damage by doing so.
Oh.
And the problem is, for the game, to fully heal, you got to go back into a and you'll be fully healed. But then when you get to the second half of the game and your apartment becomes haunted, you can't do that anymore.
Huh.
And one of those hauntings is a consequence of taking that doll.
Ah.
You're adding like an extra haunting.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And so, Silent Hill 4 is mostly about ghosts.
Oddly, not the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's, I think, I want to quickly get in, talk about the main character, Henry.
Right.
There's a lot to say about him. I mean, he comes off as pretty emotionless.
Well,
I mean,
that doesn't bode well for him.
Yeah. And he says "what the hell" a lot.
That's gonna get annoying very quickly.
It's pretty much how Harry's always saying, "Have you seen the little girl?" But instead Henry says, "What the hell?" Yeah. I mean, there is a theory to suggest that Henry might be autistic.
Well, why not? It's better than the other theories, which I think we should get onto at some point, which are hilarious within themselves.
And so, but that would explain why he's so, like, distant from some people. Why he has sort of a lack of communication. I mean, It's not official, but it's just a theory. But it's a theory I do like.
Well, it's okay. I think it's okay to like theories here and there. I mean, just as long as you don't get really defensive, where if they suddenly are no longer considered, when the thing is brought up and it's no longer a thing. And as long as you don't get too angry about, well, looks like your whole thing isn't going to be a thing. Like how, I've said to people before, when it came to like shipping in My Hero Academia, I've told people, look, your ship is not canon. No ships are canon right now. But if they don't become canon, just don't get angry when they're not. You can like you can like it as much as you want, but just don't be upset if it ends up not becoming canon.
Yeah.
So
and,
it's okay to have a theory here and there. I mean, Silent Hill has a lot of them. Let's be brutally honest.
Oh yeah, and yeah. That's pretty much all I can say about Henry. I mean, he doesn't really have much of a personality.
It's probably why people don't like it as much as the others.
Yeah, and because main character, the character that is the main focus is Walter.
Yeah, I kind of figured that he was kind of the big deal of this whole thing.
Yeah, and I gotta say, out of every villain that has appeared in Silent Hill, he is the one that scared me the most.
Well, to be fair, really, what have you got? There isn't really a villain to Silent Hill 2 if we're being really honest about it. I mean, you could count in the third one that, well, Claudia is the villain really for that one, and Dahlia isn't really much of a terrifying villain, to be honest.
I mean, she's just a nutty.
Yeah.
Whereas Claudia is creepy, but not enough to scare.
Yeah.
And but Walter is unsettling.
I mean, I don't think we should cover every Silent Hill game. I think certain ones we should just ignore. Like, I think we should just get certain things out of the way. So, I think it's abundantly clear neither of us liked Origins at all.
No, I didn't. I did not like Origins.
I did not like Origins. I did not like Book of Memories. I hated Homecoming. I didn't hate Downpour, but it just didn't feel great. And I do have problems with its whole mechanic of you can change his past, because if you change the whole him not doing anything wrong, there's no reason for him to be seeing any Silent Hill shit. But I think we should talk about the theory for Silent Hill 4. The thing it's known for very well is people's crazy theory that that one guy had and insisted that was, his theory was correct no matter what.
Unless the original creators say otherwise.
I mean, to be fair, they did get one of the translators who was confused as all hell, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
I just thought the entire thing of the game was like, what the fuck? Basically, some guy decided that everything in Silent Hill 4 was somehow a metaphor for circumcision.
Yeah.
To the extent where he would edit the Silent Hill 2 wiki to back up his insane claims. This got to so bad that people would edit it to, pretty much show, no, that is not what this is all about, and then he'd edit it right back. And the thing that made it weird was that circumcision is not a thing in Japan. It's not a big enough deal. It's not a situation in Japan that's something they'd know much about. So, it doesn't really make sense as to why he'd think any of these things were true.
He thinks it's because God came into their head and tried to, get them to acknowledge that this is a problem happening in America.
But, again, they're a Japanese company. I don't think they care about the effects of what's happening in Japan.
In America.
No, in America, sorry, yeah. I don't think they care. Yeah, that's just fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all we can say about that.
Yeah, there was obviously nothing to his claim. It was all crazy, but still, it's something that...
It's insane.
It's insane, but it's something that, you know, needs to be acknowledged that, yeah, someone actually thinks this way. But, yeah, I don't really want to talk about Origins or anything else, because quite frankly, by this point, Team Silent is now nothing to do with, you know, was nothing to do with anything else at this point.
Yeah.
And they were taking certain liberties, and to be fair, Travis has very flimsy reasons for even being there.
I mean, he could have just avoided the situation.
There was, I know they've made the argument of James, like, that there is not really any real reason for him to, you know, be experiencing Silent Hill shit.
I mean, all that happened is that over Alessa, and he's like,
darkness awaits you.
I wonder if she's okay.
Well, there for
Well,
all
clearly,
eternity.
she's not under your truck, so you didn't kill her. So you can just get back inside.
Even now, let him purge the world
Yeah.
in flames.
There isn't really any real reason for him to stay in Silent Hill and experience things, and they even got their own discount version of Pyramid Head in there, the Butcher.
Yeah. Bargain bin Pyramid Head.
Oh god, yeah, bargain bin, goddamn Pyramid Head. And all the other stuff just does not fit it. Just does not work. No matter how you look at it.
Yeah. It's like a fan fiction made into video game form.
God, yeah, I think they're giving it too much credit even doing that. God, the movies I think we need to discuss as well.
Go back to the abyss. Trouble the soul of my mother.
First and
I remember
foremost,
when the first movie came out, I was curious, because again, Silent Hill was a very
You lost
niche...
your heart.
It was very niche back in
You'll
the day.
never win without them. How poetic.
well,
So, I
thing is though, a crazy thing
in a search for power. Did
is that
Did you not?
was going to be the main character.
What?
Yeah,
But
I heard the reasoning as to why Harry wasn't going to be in it, because, you know, they felt they needed a more feminine touch or something. And, you know, they felt it was more natural for a mother to go after their child. But the thing is that the whole point was that for Harry, it was, you know, Cheryl was all he had, and the fact they changed the names around and everything else.
Farewell, my son.
Yeah, so yeah, to me, Silent Hill doesn't work as a movie.
It doesn't work because, for me, it doesn't work because they're trying to be more mysterious than they actually are. And by that I mean the whole thing with Sean Bean and, you know, doing all the investigations. I kind of preferred it more when they didn't need to overcomplicate it with that. They could and the whole making Dahlia the good guy, well, a good guy kind of, or at least a more sympathetic character.
It's like, why did you do that?
Yeah, that wasn't the point.
And the thing is, it's like they make certain changes, but they don't explain why.
Yeah, a lot of these things just, there was really no point really to. There was no point to why they did a lot of what they did. I mean, having both parents alive was weird enough.
So you made it.
Alucard, you're all right.
So you had to fight your own father?
And it was weird
my
seeing
fault.
Sean Bean
If I
not
hadn't been so
dying.
weak,
Well, yeah,
we wouldn't
that and
be
just
here.
his
Not
thing,
so.
there was just no
I had
point
my
to a
own
lot of what
reasons
was
to
going
face him.
on.
Still, it couldn't have been easy. It wasn't. But remember, the only thing necessary for evil
But
to
there
Yeah.
really was no point
Is
to
for
having
good
Sean
men to
Bean
do nothing.
be alive. There was
So
no
what
real
now,
point
Alucard?
to.
The blood in my veins is cursed.
There was no point to
It's best for the
the
world
whole
if I
investigation
disappear,
into their
now
daughter's
and
life.
forever.
I see.
Sybil got
Farewell,
very
then.
little in terms of anything
We'll
to do,
not meet
but
again.
to be fair, the game didn't give her much to do either.
Alucard.
And it may just be me,
Well,
but
are
there
you
were
going
too many
after him
people.
or not?
Yeah.
No, he's right. It's best this way.
But the cults
There's
being
no
there,
way
I mean,
could
the
ever
cult
ease
being
his
there actually
pain.
ruined
Maybe
the
someday we
point
will
of the
meet
second
again.
movie anyway.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's go. Everyone's
changing
waiting
them
for
to
us.
witch burners thing.
Yeah, they're literally
Yes.
witch
Let's
burners.
get out of here.
And as soon as I heard the words "burn the witch," I just wanted to get up and walk out.
It is just so fucking stupid though. That's the thing. Nothing about that entire thing is any good. Nothing about the cult is there. They're still technically alive, but they're not dead. Somehow the evil part of Alessa cannot, the dark part of Alessa can't actually get in, and they're implying that it's the devil. Don't get me wrong, I liked the woman being torn apart by the barbed wire and shit. But Dahlia being, broken, Pyramid Head appearing, let's just get that out the way.
Point to it.
God, fucking damn it. Yeah, they bring they bring in what is meant to be Pyramid Head, who kills one woman, and we're meant to feel something for that.
Yeah. It turned Alessa into a vengeful,
Yeah, a spirit of vengeance, and then it's implied at the end that she somehow possesses the child, and then they go back, and it's still in the fog world for some reason. They never truly explained that. And then it ends with them in the house, and they're in the same house as Sean Bean, but clearly they can't see each other.
And then we get into the second film.
Yeah, where suddenly the child is back and is Heather.
Yeah.
Starting a new school.
And
Vincent is a school kid as well, or at least her age. That's the first. That's when the first warning light went up.
And he's played by Jon Snow from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And Claudia's played by Trinity from The Matrix.
But I think we should also point out that the monsters made no sense. They brought back the big titty nurses for the first movie and for the second one. The cult are suddenly different. So the cult are suddenly different now. They're back to the video game logic, kind of.
Yeah. This time, Claudia hates Heather.
Yeah, there's that. Oh, and also Vincent is her son.
Yeah. And also Heather's love interest.
Yeah. And of course, they killed Dark Alessa by hugging her. There was that whole thing.
And Pyramid Head came back.
Oh yeah, they introduced a new kind of monster that I thought was pretty interesting in concept. But again, there's no reason for it, so, forget. So what was the point in that? Claudia becomes a monster somehow. Leonard is played by Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
Because why not? And even when he turns into a monster, instead of killing killing Heather, he just drags her around for no reason. And of course, the fight when Pyramid Head kills.
And then.
Oh, sorry, go on.
And then when it's all over, they just throw in a bunch of references to previous games. Like Sean Bean saying, "I'm going back into the town to look for my wife," implying Silent Hill 2.
Yes, they're doing that.
And then Heather and Vincent get picked up by Travis Grady.
Oh god.
And then as they're driving home, goes into Silent Hill.
Of course, Silent Hill Downpour and Murphy.
Yeah, although we don't see Murphy.
No, but it's implied.
It's just a prison van.
Yeah, but the implication is there. And the
Yeah,
sad thing is, the only other Silent Hill character I think that has got some other mystique to him is the postman.
Yeah.
He's the only other thing that I think could work, because he seems to be above, you know, what's going on in the town. And he gives helpful clues, which adds more to my theory of how Silent Hill is pretty much there just to test the people that are in there. But yeah, the movies generally, they're not great introductions to the series. They borrow things from the games, but very poorly. And I'm glad there isn't a third Silent Hill movie, and I pray there won't ever be one.
Yeah. Unless Netflix lets do a TV series.
Well, they're already doing Resident Evil, so we'll see. Well, I think we've gone over a 2-hour mark. I think that's good enough for now.
Yeah. Consider this part 1.
Oh yeah, we can go on to a second part tomorrow or so if you want.
Yeah. Because I think for the second part, as we promised ourselves, we were going to talk about how we think
handle
a remake of the first game should be.
Yeah, since Resident Evil 2's remake was so well done.
Yeah, so we will leave that for part 2.
All right. I mean, I like the ideas, and let's face it, it won't be another downpour. It won't be another Shattered Memories.
Which we didn't bring up.
There's reasons I didn't bring certain ones up. I didn't bring up much of what happened after Team Silent pretty much became a non-entity.
Yeah.
It's because ultimately they don't matter and they don't contribute anything to the series.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, for now, thank you to anyone who joined us, and we hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble about Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a bit disjointed here and there, but this is what happens when you do it live, I guess. Right, and we shall see you all soon. Bye.
Until then, bye.